My name is Victoria Dolce, and I'm Associate Director of International Student Support and Engagement at the University of Florida International Center. Living off campus can be a satisfying and rewarding experience for everyone, including international students. Before choosing your home away from home, you must consider what needs and preferences you have for not only the cost of rent, but also the distance from campus, length of your lease, roommates, and safety. In this video, we want to briefly go over what you can expect when renting your off-campus housing in Gainesville. We'll start with costs for monthly rent. Of course, there is a lot of variation depending on the size, location, and how many roommates. But first, an important word to understand is guarantor. Some apartments or landlords require students to have a guarantor or co-signer for their lease. The guarantor is typically a family member in the U.S. who is willing to assume the monthly cost of rent if you are unable to pay. A co-signer, on the other hand, is a roommate or maybe your spouse that lives with you in the apartment. Keep in mind that as an international student, you are your own guarantor. This means you will pay a higher deposit. Please also understand that being a guarantor for someone else is a very serious commitment. You may want to ask someone to be your guarantor so you can pay a lower deposit. However, you should never ask your academic advisors nor faculty to be your guarantor. Okay, let's move on to some more vocabulary. There are two types of lease agreements you can sign. With an individual lease, each roommate is responsible for their own rent payment. This means if one roommate does not pay, the other roommates will not be held responsible. A joint lease requires each roommate to sign a lease, but the landlord can hold the other roommates responsible if one roommate does not pay their portion of the rent. This is why we recommend that you sign an individual lease. Know that once you sign a lease, it is a legally binding agreement and you will probably never get out of it. Before signing a lease, make sure the move-in date is before classes begin and the move-out date is after finals are over. You may have heard another term, sublease. A sublease is when you take over a lease from another person. For example, if you have an internship in the summer, but you have a 12-month lease, then subleasing to another student will allow you to find someone to replace you in the apartment, and you will no longer be financially responsible for the remaining months of the lease. This works both ways, so if you need a lease for shorter than 12 months, you can sublease from someone else as well. Check with your apartment complex to ensure it is okay for you to sublease your apartment. Some will charge you a sublease fee, which should be listed in your current lease. In general, do not move into someone else's apartment and start paying rent without signing your own lease for that unit with the management directly. For your protection, it's very important that you have an official sublease agreement on record with the apartment complex in case you have any problems. We don't want you to get scammed if you're trying to find a sublease, so we recommend that you use the university's official off-campus housing locator tool to easily find housing, roommates, and educational resources all in one place. You can use this QR code to get started. Finally, let's look at rates. These two charts are organized by distance from campus. You'll notice that rates are much higher the closer you get and the fewer roommates you have. Note that one-bedroom apartments are very expensive, and they are also hard to find. Roommates are great, and you should plan to have a few of them, not only to keep housing costs down, but also to enhance your experience in the U.S. Remember, you do not have someone else to be your guarantor as an international student, so you will have higher deposits. Also pay attention to other costs, such as that short-term lease fee I mentioned, as well as application fees and renter's insurance. You will need to have a lot of money available to pay up front in order to secure your apartment. Also keep in mind that the cost of rent may not include the additional cost of utilities. Utilities for your apartment include electricity, gas, water, and internet. If you have to set up your utilities with GRU, you must visit their office in person as an international student, and you'll need to bring all of your current immigration documents and lease agreement to set up service. To keep energy costs down, there are a few things you can try. For example, pay attention to the temperature on your thermostat. Close blinds and use fans when it's hot. Open windows when it's cool. You can use cold water in the washing machine and air dry your clothes, as well as hand wash your dishes. You can also set your refrigerator to the lowest cool setting and unplug electronics when you're not using them. If you're not in the room, turn off the lights and the ceiling fan. But the most important thing is that all of your roommates are on the same page about these energy-saving tips, so make sure you talk with them about it too. More general tips for taking care of your apartment include not smoking in the apartment, and use a shower curtain in your bathroom if you don't have a glass door. Never bring home a new pet without getting permission from your apartment complex and your roommates. Do not make any changes to the electrical or plumbing systems. Do not have long-term guests. Keep your apartment clean. Do not do anything illegal in your apartment. And again, talk to your roommates to make sure everyone in your home agrees to respect the apartment and each other in these ways. When choosing your off-campus housing, it's important to consider the location. But if you live further away from campus to save money, don't worry. The Regional Transit System bus service contracts with UF to provide free transportation for students, faculty, and staff. Buses can even transport your bike, and most students take the bus to campus every day. Another resource available to you are the free attorneys at Student Legal Services. They provide confidential legal help with landlord-tenant issues, among others. Before you sign your lease or sublease, we recommend that you take it to them first for a review, and you can use the QR code here to make an appointment. Please note that they are not immigration attorneys, and they cannot represent you as a UF student against any other individual or group affiliated with UF. We hope this overview of what to expect when renting off campus is helpful for you as an international student. This presentation was prepared by the International Center, but the UF Office of Off-Campus Life has many more resources and services specially designed with the off-campus student in mind. In addition to the housing locator I mentioned earlier, you can also make an individual appointment with them to discuss any questions or concerns. And their Gator Guide to Off-Campus Life publication provides resources and tips to help students successfully find housing off-campus. Please check them out using this QR code. Good luck on your housing search, and we hope you have a smooth transition to living in Gainesville.